Hello, you're watching news from Kazakhstan. It is Saturday, October 6th, and I am Nurbek Svetakhunov. The trial over 6 prison guards began in Karaganda region. One prisoner died from torture. Witness accounts were taken on Friday. Details next.
Former staff of the penitentiary institution located in the town of Dalinka of Karaganda region are being prosecuted. They are charged with abuse of power. As the case materials stipulate, in November of the last year, prisoner Shamil Yaroslavlev, convicted for extortion, arrived at the jail and died on the next day in prison's medical facility. Prison's administration told his brother Ruslan Nozdoyev that Yaroslavlev died as a result of the coronary insufficiency. However, the forensic medical examination at the country's capital found that the prisoner died as a result of torture. Forensic experts found over 30 fractures on the body, along with the damages of the internal organs. One of the torturers was dressed up in camouflage uniform and special gloves. He was prepared to beat up. They knew who was coming. They were warned. The prisoner who was on duty that day is the main witness of the crime. He is saying that he saw how the prison employees beat up Yaroslavlev. At the day when Shamil Yaroslavlev arrived to the prison and after he was brutally beaten, the chief medical officer, Kenjagul Dusimbekova, came. She said to the other staff, "If they're not agreeing with something, just beat them up. Today is my shift. I'll take care of it." And they all laughed. Although the media representatives were allowed at the court hearing, the witnesses of the crime, lawyers and relatives of the defendants were against taking video footage. They also declined to give any comments. According to the brother of the killed, the suspects deny their connection with the crime. As the human rights activist said, this isn't the first case of a prisoner's death in Karaganda penitentiary institutions in the past months. Often the relatives of the prisoners speak about tortures, while prison management always explain the death of the inmates by cardiac insufficiency. Process on the 6 staff of Karaganda prison has just started. It is unclear how long it will last.
A third of Kazakhstan's population mistrusts information provided by the authorities. A quarter is convinced that the state is unable to protect them, while 42% expect more terrorist acts. These were the poll results voiced by experts at the first meeting of the Institute of Political Decisions. The subject of the talks was law enforcement officials' information tactics, isolation or activization, although the discussion lacked an opponent. The session was attended by our crew.
Due to the absence of representatives of law enforcement agencies at the round table dedicated to the topic of informational tactics of security forces, isolation or active methods didn't take place. Unfortunately, the representatives of mass media, civil society members and allies were specifically waiting for them to address their questions. We invited the representatives of NSC, MIA, General Prosecutor's Office to discuss many nuances of this topic. The NSC says that it is working on the strategy, but it is the General Prosecutor's Office that works with the information. They're pointing fingers at each other. The law enforcement agencies have mastered the technique of pointing fingers at each other or avoiding media during the state of emergency situations and special operations. However, they are terrible with the speed of delivery of information. The chief editor of online magazine Vlast, Vyacheslav Abramov, has done all calculations. According to him, the security forces made an official statement about the Zhanaozen bloodshed only after 10 hours after it. The same period of time was required for them to notify Kazakhstan citizens about the explosion in the capital prison. The state officials in Kazakhstan keep ignoring the fact of terrorism threats. This is well reflected in the statement of the presidential advisor on political affairs, Mr. Yertuzbayev, in which he says that terrorism is absent in Kazakhstan and there are only a few instances when dangerous people with a criminal record use scare tactics of single-man terrorism. It's a matter of interpretation, I believe. The problem lies in the fact that such statements as well as similar policies lead to a situation when the law enforcement agencies are limited to launch full-scale operation since they have these constraints. The information vacuum is often filled with information from online social networking sites and insider sources of mass media. They are the ones that give initial picture of incident scale, its reasons and theories. If the state agencies stay aside from the situation, then a panic crawls in. The myth about stable and prospering Kazakhstan, where 100 ethnic groups live peacefully side by side, became fixed in the minds of many people, especially in the minds of those people who take decisions. No one among these authorized officials wants to take responsibility and give a permission to security forces to act in full scale. The one who could say, let's make a movie about how NSC officers are protecting Kazakhstan citizens from terrorism. The authorities' habit of giving limited information or being absolutely silent led to the fact when every third Kazakhstan citizen distrusts official information.
Это удивительная была ситуация, когда с утра
It was quite surprising when in the early morning the news about the massacre of 10 people in the national park near Almaty was a breaking news, and no one from the state agencies addressed the population, at least with a request to stay away from the mountains until everything becomes clear. They don't care about us, it as the authorities are the one responsible for creation of such situation when no one needs any information about the incident. It will lead to issues for the authorities when people won't care about the explosions at the outskirts of Almaty or Aktau, and it would be even worse when they won't care if something, God forbid, will happen in Astana.
что там происходит, всем будет просто плевать.
At the end of the round table, the participants composed a list of recommendations to their absent opponents. They proposed the security forces to review their media policy and make it more open to public. They believe that if they will remain silent, then their role could be easily taken by the radical-minded individuals. In that case, the public opinion would be manipulated from outside, and it would mean a defeat in informational war.
A memorial plate in memory of policemen killed in a terrorist act was erected in Taraz. The names of Balata Yankulov and Jaksebek Baysaitov were immortalized on a marble plate, which was placed near the railway where the officers were killed.
To recap, on November 12, 2012, a suicide bomber Kariyev committed a series of murders and explosions in the city. 2 members of the Department of Zhambyl Specialized Security Services died trying to stop the criminal. The opening ceremony of Memorial Plaque was attended by the colleagues and relatives of the victims. The local authorities spared the apartments from public housing.
The ex-governor of Atara region, Birgey Ruskaliyev, and his brother, former parliamentarian Amanjan Ruskali, were seen in London at a Japanese restaurant, Zuma. A regular reader informed one of Kazakhstan's newspapers of the spotting over the phone. To recount, the former officials went missing in August, and one of them is wanted for corruption. State officials are still unable to be distinct about the brothers' whereabouts. Even now, the information on their current location was commented on by the departments on the run. More details next.
Ruskaliyev brothers are now in the UK. Recently, they were seen in one of the popular authentic Japanese restaurants. The Forbes Kazakhstan magazine spread this information referring to an anonymous reader. The journalists immediately rushed to the financial police to confirm the information, as a few days ago, prosecutor's office put one of the brothers, Amanjan Ruskali, on a wanted list on fraud charges. Could you tell if Birgey Ruskaliyev was called for questioning? The case was rather big. No, he wasn't. What are his whereabouts? I'm sorry, but there is nothing I can say. We have information that they are in London now. Is it true? Can you confirm it? We neither deny nor confirm it. Are you going to check the source of information? We check all sources. But there was information that they were in London. They were seen there, and their pictures were taken. I'll repeat myself. We don't have this. Are they in London? I'm not authorized to comment. Jakub Asanov was running away from the journalists for 40 seconds, hiding in different offices. It should be noted that it was the General Prosecutor's Office materials that led to initiating a criminal case in Atrau region. The officials at regional administration were abusing their power. As a result, the regional budget was $40 million short. When the criminal case was initiated, Birgey Ruskaliyev was no longer head of administration in Atrau region, and now no one is aware of his whereabouts. State authorities neither confirm nor deny the guilt of the ex-official. His brother, Parliament Deputy Amanjan Ruskali, came under pressure as well. He even lost his deputy's mandate. The party he is a member of is planning to expel him, and the warrant for his arrest was issued by the court in October. The assumptions that 2 brothers left Kazakhstan and headed to London have been made several times. Furthermore, according to some sources, Birgey Ruskaliyev's family is living in London, UK.
Also in London, a rally in support of releasing political prisoners was held at the doors of the Kazakh embassy. Several activists rolled out their banners in front of the embassy, including the wife and son of dissident poet Aron Atabek.
In addition to the poster campaign, organizers included an audio by Aron Atabek and also read poems written while in prison. To recap, the Kazakh poet was sentenced to 18 years following the riots in Shanrak neighborhood of Almaty, reporting 1 policeman dead as a result of clashes with the local law enforcement officers. The picket participants wanted to meet with the ambassador of Kazakhstan in the United Kingdom, who was not at work that day. Therefore, the activists delivered a petition with their demands to the Chancellery of the diplomatic mission.
Our main purpose is poet Aron Atabek to be free immediately, along with other political prisoners in Kazakhstan. We are against injustice, courts, and we want our father to be free with us.
In other news, renowned Kazakh director Bolat Atabayev announced his decision to switch the theater stage to a political one. He met with a no less famous Russian oppositionist Alexei Navalny in Moscow on Friday. Our correspondents listened in on their conversation.
He turned his visit to the monument to Great Abay in Moscow into a performance, in the best sense of the word. Sitting near the monument, I feel that I am as lonely as Abay. At this time, Abay sharply criticized Kazakh people. Many years have passed, but nothing has changed for better. After a song, he was reciting German and Russian poems. He finished his performance reciting poems in Kazakh. Thus, he makes it clear, being a man of peace, he is now fighting for peace in Kazakhstan. Besides directing plays, stage director Bolat Atabayev has decided to win the political stage. I have thought hard about it. I've made a decision. As a great Russian actress, Ranevskaya said, go and fight. It is so simple and clear in words, but it is so complicated in reality. Despite enduring hard times, Bolat Atabayev keeps saying, I'm a director, but I want to become a politician. However, it is impossible without experience, he says. Thus, he has gone on this world tour to become skilled in the art of governing. Those who agree to be puppets cannot be good politicians. In my opinion, a real politician is a person who stands up not only for his own principles, but also the interests of people he represents. This young and energetic man is Alexei Navalny. He is one of the most famous figures in Russian opposition. Until recently, only few people have known him. Lawyer Navalny has gained popularity for posting documents on his blog that track the financial dealings of Russian officials in oil industry. He has fearlessly exposed intricate schemes of the documents in the public domain. Navalny has become a famous politician after his speech at the opposition rally.
У нас есть наши голоса. Мы существуем.
Like Atabayev, Navalny has not given up, even after being detained and persecuted by Russian authorities. Now the two politicians have met to talk about the most important things. We've run a good machine of truth to fight the evil machine of propaganda. These metaphors for ordinary rallies seems to be intentionally prepared for a person of art. The Russian opposition leader shared his experience on how to inform people that they are often deceived by the government. On his website, he provides accurate information on every official who was caught embezzling, cuts that were made to win a tender, as well as why utility rates vary in regions. I find all of your advices useful. There are young people who are willing to help me, who are tired of dishonest business. People need a moral compass. They will fight if they have someone who is clean-fingered and eager to change life for the better. They talked about life, direction and politics for a long time, and just like all politicians, they made a final handshake for the press.
Another West Kazakhstan region official intends to sue Lukman Akhmedyarov and the newspaper Uralskaya Nedelya. This time, administrative claims were voiced by Deputy Governor of Terekin District Abzal Braliyev. In all, the official wants to recover more than $66,000 from the journalist.
A legal action by the civil servant is the third time Lukman Akhmedyarov and Uralskaya Gazeta are playing the role of defendants. Previously, the former head of domestic policy Tlek Kabulimashev and financial police officer Arman Kozhakhmetov filed suits against them. Complaints from a district officer are similar to the rest. Deputy mayor requires the newspaper to refuse the information regarding his past, which was told in an interview by Mahambet Kaneev, the witness in the case of the abduction and murder of a famous athlete, Oralbek Mujahidin. According to an interview of the witness, the current deputy mayor of the area is involved in this crime. The newsmen themselves have taken a lawsuit as a given. They are confident that people who are dissatisfied with their work occur for a reason. Apparently, they are trying to make it impossible for me to work or help shut down the newspaper by using these lawsuits.
In other stories, Молодежная Gazeta in Zhezkazgan entered Kazakhmys Corporation's blacklist. The publication's chief editor Berik Zhagiparov says the copper magnate management stopped issuing invitations to their own events. Chairman of the board, Eduardo Gai, took issue with journalist comparisons between Zhezkazgan's labor conflicts with the events in Zhanaozen. Zhagiparov claims they are accused of subversion and bringing to light inconvenient subjects, for instance, unpaid salaries, demonstrations, creations of pocket labor unions, and also a possible outflow of capital from the country through contractors, and the likely escape by top managers abroad.
Over the past 10 years, they have not been investing in the future of Zhezkazgan, nor conducting preparatory work. There are no new businesses or mines established, and we always stress that they run a predatory policy, looking to develop copper and other resources from here as much as possible, and whatever happens then is none of their concern. We raise this question trying to show that they are temporary workers who are mainly concerned about making money.
Almaty Municipal Court Chairman Taymirjanov was requested to deal with his subordinates. Members of the Berkut protest movement addressed a collective letter to the executive, complaining about the judge's subjective decisions.
Проблема с ошибками в судах приобрела настолько большую остроту, что...
The issue of the court's mistakes is becoming so acute that President Nazarbayev, in his address to the people of Kazakhstan, said that every case of the wrong decision of the court has to be an extraordinary event and must be made public.
Озвучен для всех.
As members of the movement know, the unfair verdicts sometimes turn into tragedy. The special indignation of those gathered was caused by the court of Alatau district of the capital that passed the decision on the case of Svetlana Turgunbayeva in May of 2012. There was an attempt to evict her with her 3 children from the apartment, after which the woman committed the act of self-immolation. Movement participants demand that all such cases are examined, otherwise they will appeal to the Supreme Court and the international human rights organizations. 5 self-immolation attempts related to the court or police decisions were registered in Kazakhstan in the past 2 years.
In environmental news, Minister of Emergency Situations Vladimir Bashkov forecasts an increase in man-made disasters, floods and melting ice caps. The chief rescuer made this warning at the meeting of the State Commission on Prevention of Emergency Situations.
According to Bashkov's information, the breakdowns at energy power engineering facilities and main gas pipelines might become more frequent. The reason is complete wearing of the equipment. By the year 2050, Kazakhstan may be left with no glaciers. The minister complains that they are melting too fast. The current issue with flood flows has been also put on the agenda. 5 regions of Kazakhstan are facing the risk of floods. To prevent them, it is necessary to allocate extra financing for construction of over 500 kilometers of flood dams. Bashkov was highly critical of the officials accountable to him. According to the report of deputy head of South Kazakhstan region, $200,000 was spent to renovate the equipment in the region. The minister doubted the expenses were reasonable. You're saying you installed the modern protective structures. Your warning systems were not replaced since 1978. They're analog. I'm talking about the inside lock and seal device. I see you have the new chairs inside. The new chairs and a good renovation. It's really good. But what equipment are you talking about? You don't have neither ventilation, nor gas rescue, nor new alert systems installed.
Veteran teachers were honored in Almaty on Friday. Education Minister Bakhtjan Zhomagulov personally arrived to congratulate the teachers with their professional holiday, which will be celebrated on Sunday, October 7th. 80 veteran teachers received memorable certificates and souvenirs. The head of the ministry noted that education is always a priority, thus substantial funds are allocated for its development.
During these 2 years, the funding for education has increased by $3.3 billion. That is how much is spent today to prepare the future generations of our managers, our citizens, and our country's future in general. Any decent country has to take care of its younger generation in the long run. However, teachers themselves say that there is still not enough money. According to the Agency for Statistics, the average salary in the education field is about $400. Teachers say that rural schools require attention, as many of the regional educational institutions are understaffed. It is hard to teach a child. It takes a lot of patience. Therefore, it is necessary to create good conditions for the teachers, as they still have a lot to offer. Should they be receiving better salaries and provided with housing, teachers will work harder.
On the eve of Teachers' Day, the teachers of Atarao Specialized School for Mentally Disabled Children revealed that they are not classified as teachers, especially when the money issues are on the agenda. They are not able to receive bonuses, even though they believe that they were part of the education system for years. More details in the next report.
The student at the boarding school can distinguish the letters already, and this is only because of the teacher Rayhan Bisingalieva. She also taught 12-year-old Alisher the colors, and such small victories are abundant in the Atara boarding school for children with mental disabilities. Teachers deserve awards for their excellent achievements, thinks staff of the institution, but the officials aren't in agreement with this. We received this fax message. You can have a look at it. The Department of the Social Programs and Employment Assistance of the Atara region cannot recommend the teachers for receipt of the awards, and that the teachers can apply for such awards in October before the day of the social worker. Teachers don't know now what department they belong to. They were certified as teachers, but once they speak of the wages, they aren't considered as such. The question is why we are treated as teachers in some cases, and when it comes to the bonuses, when we have to get our leave pay that we must receive by law, we cease being teachers. Head of the institution, Serik Sapanov, explains these double standards by saying that the staff of the boarding school do not provide education to the afflicted children. Our situation is different. They provide the services of the speech therapists in order to help the children to gain the skills. Although they hold the teachers' certificates, our documentation clearly says only for those who work here as part of the special program. At the same time, teachers say it is becoming increasingly difficult to provide clothing and adequate nutrition for the children. Kazakhstan oil company that won the tender for provision of food doesn't really care of the boarding school, it seems. The firm is mentioned in connection with a corruption scandal related to the ex-governor of the region, Bergey Rizkaliyev, and the teachers are left only to complain. The winter is coming and children are still wearing the rubber sandals. I wanted to mention the lack of equipment for children. We don't have enough toys, balls for playing dolls, and whatever we have is very old. We have been working here for 3 years, relatively new, but I see that there is a clear lack of the toys. Today, the Atara Special Boarding School for Mentally Disabled Children turns 20. Over 150 people work there. 9 of them are speech pathologists and 35 are teachers. The unpleasant reaction of the authorities not only reminded them of their undetermined status, but also spoiled their professional holiday, the Day of the Teacher.
Meanwhile, in Almaty, the Education Ministry organized a festive celebration of Teachers' Day. Strangely, not all media was allowed to take part in the event, while security officials failed to explain the reasons behind the move.
Stan KZ is not on the list. Why? I'm sorry, we only follow the instructions, so no offense. So it's just Stan who didn't make it on the list. I don't know, we were ordered by the leadership not to let you in. The mayor of Almaty, Yesimov, and Minister of Education, Zhumagulov, were among the high-ranked guests at the ball. The total of 169 contenders from different cities arrived at the ceremony for the Teacher of the Year award. There were 4,000 teachers involved in this competition. In the end, 48 of them were awarded the cash prize $1,000. The grandiose evening gathered altogether 350 guests. Altanaya Montaeva is one of the nominees from Karaganda. She has been preparing for the contest since April. Her dream is to earn a respect and recognition from her colleagues. The invitation to the ball indeed pleased the resident of Karaganda. This is the first time the teachers had such a ball organized for them. I'm very glad that there are such changes in our country, that the work of the teacher is finally appreciated and encouraged. I like that they motivate us and give the incentive to work.
This is all we have time for now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to tune in to Vlast KZ on Monday. Have a great weekend.